You would like to limit the feed-in power of several Fronius inverters. We show you here how you can do that. Now it's also possible with the Gen 24, Verto and Tauro series of inverters. In this video we explain step by step what are the commissioning steps to achieve this feed-in regulation for all different inverters. Basically, first, what do you need to have to do that? First, a master inverter, which is a Gen 24, a Verto or a Tauro inverter. Second, you need a Fronius smart meter at the feed-in point, which is connected to the master inverter. Third, you can have up to 19 slave inverters, which are connected in the same network. So you have to bring all the inverters into the same internet router to connect them all in the same network. Then you can have 19 slave inverters, which are regulated from the master inverter to control the feed-in limitation. Last but not least, you need on the master inverter the latest software, which is 1.32 or higher. The next step, we explain you the settings for the commissioning. Basically, when we start with the slave inverters, we need first to find under the point communication, under Modbus, the slave as Modbus TCP must be activated. All the other settings can be used as preset. And the inverter control via Modbus has also to be started. Then you save the settings, and that's the first setting. Secondly, you move out to the safety and grid regulations. Under this point, you find the export limitation. And here we set the fallback scenario of the slave inverter. So power control of the total power limitation. We have, for example, a DC power of 10,000 watt. We have export limit control soft limit and set here, for example, 0 watt. And we reduce the inverter power to 0% if the meter connection has been lost. So this has to be activated as well. And then the slave inverter will reduce its output power to 0 when the connection to the master inverter has been lost. We save also these settings. If you have done the export limitation, please also double check the I/O power management. Here you should have following controlling priorities. I/O power limit as 1, Modbus control as 2, and export limitation as third priority. If you have different settings here, you can just move on here and save the settings according to these priorities. These has been the settings which have to be done on the slave inverters. We'll come back also to the master inverter. So the second gen inverter in this case, or the Verto inverter, will have then the master settings. In the master settings, we have to do also first we find under safety and grid regulations the point export limitation, where we set on the master the power which is the export limit. So for example, we have a 5,000 watt export limitation. Then we set here the 5,000 watt. We can also reduce the inverter to 0% if we have lost the connection to the meter. That's also fine here. And then we come to the point limit multiple inverters. And this is the new setting here. As soon as we click here, we find all the inverters in the same network. So in this case, we have 3 inverters, 1 Verto and 2 Symo Gen 24 inverters. We can activate all the inverters and save also the settings. On the left-hand side, I will then see if these inverters are active and connected. And if I wait a few seconds, as we've done now, you see here all the inverters have been activated, all the inverters are in the network, and all the inverters have Modbus TCP as slave activated. So then you can see all in green color, and you know that all the inverters are connected to each other. So when we have done that and we have saved the settings, we get out of this and come back to the overview, where we see already the master inverter now how it's running. So we see the feed-in power of the master inverter. We cannot see the whole system. If we want to see the whole system, we need to jump out and go to Solar Web, where we have all the inverters in this one system. So you can add all the components in the data sources in the Solar Web. So you have in this case 3 inverters in one system, and then you can double check the feed-in power of the total system, and this should then be regulated down to 5000 watt.